Central Division matchup. And in watching the Bears' Mike Ditka and Dennis Green of the Minnesota Vikings walk the sidelines, there's no question these two are so different in just about every way, except they are both totally committed to winning. But, Al, in getting to know Dennis Green, you get the feeling that he was a young man who has been a success at the college level, the professional level already, as a head coach at Stanford, a head coach at Northwestern. And you get the feeling he's going to be a great head coach in the National Football League.
You do, and keep in mind, too, Frank, it was so tough for so many years for any black coach to become a head coach. There was Art Shell, and there was nobody else. And
but
Dennis
he doesn't
Green,
want to hear that either.
well, exactly. He'd been rumored, but Dennis had been rumored for several jobs, and they all fell by the wayside. I asked him last night if he ever began to lose hope, if he ever ran out of hope he'd become an NFL head coach.
Well, when you get close a couple of times, a couple of times when you get real close and you don't understand the decision-making process and what went down on it, I think that can be a little frustrating. But what I try to do really is always be the one guy who's really positive, to concentrate on the job that I have right now. I've had some great jobs, and as long as you're doing a good job where you're at right then you don't really have to worry about that next job. At the same sense, if it's something that you can't reach, what I used to call ghost chasing, I wasn't really that much interested in chasing ghosts, which means that something that you think is there really isn't.
Is there one thing, when you look back upon the interview process, that you may have said or stated to Hedrick that made the difference to give you the job?
My approach had come from the San Francisco 49ers, tried and true. 4 Super Bowl championships in the last 10 years, a lot of outstanding players, but none of those players being more important than the team and working in the concept of the team. And so I think maybe that was it. I think that if they had gone with somebody who'd been here, then some things would have changed and some things would not have. Coming in with somebody who had no shackles at all, no tie-ins with the previous organization at all. Everything would be kind of fresh and new. There are going to be some tie-overs, but the big thing was, I think, change.
Of all the people you've worked with and for during your coaching career, is there one man who's had the most influence on you?
Well, I think as a coach, it would be Bill Walsh. I met Bill in 1977. I worked with him on and off for a lot of different years. I always feel that if a guy hires you back after you leave and take another job, then you must be doing something okay.
You're down the road from where you coached several years ago at Northwestern. As you think back upon that experience, and it's a very different experience in college football, what comes to mind about Northwestern?
If I was not man enough to handle an 0-11 football season, I would never survive in coaching. And to survive that 0-11 season, my first year, you have to take your ego out of it. If you leave your ego in it, you're going to hate the game of football. You're going to hate everything about the teams who have worked so hard to be successful. You'll never understand the whole idea of commitment and expectations. Once you take the ego out of it, then whatever's there is there. If you got a successful season, as long as you know you gave 100%, then you'll accept it. If you don't have a successful season, as long as you gave 100%, you'll appreciate that too. You won't like it, but at least you'll have a perspective about it.
Is there anything in life to you that would be as satisfying as coaching football?
I think anytime I work with young people, I'm really happy with it. I've always enjoyed working as a coaching with young adults, teaching young adults, spending time with them, and it's exciting. I think the thing about football that gets in your blood is there's nothing like coming out of that tunnel and going on the field and meeting the ultimate challenge and taking care of business.